As a massive survival game fan, I'm always looking, searching, and hoping for the next best and new survival game to come out. Well, we've had our eyes locked on Nightingale all the way back to its reveal announcement in 2021's Game Awards. And I'll tell you now that the game has come a long way since then, where the more I see, the more excited I get. Back in 2021, we got a captivating peek at a somewhat creepy and different looking survival game, but with insane visuals and a lot of mystery. We saw crazy monsters, trees coming to life, base building, a large open world, a literal giant stomping through someone's base, and then of course the portals, which at the time we didn't know much about. Since then, we've gotten new trailers, gameplay, beta tests, and consistent developer update videos, giving us more details on the game itself, which looks to be coming along nicely and is clearly supported by passionate developers who seem to be in touch with their community. At first, I wasn't too sure if the visuals in the trailers were actually reflective of the in-game gameplay, but from just looking at some of these screenshots from playtesters and beta testers, it's clear that the game is going to look pretty visually amazing. The game itself is set to be a PvE open-world survival crafting game that can be played solo or cooperatively. And while some people love PvP, I know that a lot of people are not liking the implementation of PvP in a lot of games recently, so for those that dislike the PvP aspect in survival games, this is one you will probably want to keep a close eye on. You can build, craft, fight, and explore, but with the twist of mystical portals, which takes you to new realms, and we actually have a good chunk of details on how these portals work in terms of their gameplay, which really makes the game sound all the more interesting. In a lot of survival games, the open world after a certain point can get a bit boring, stale, or just run out of things for you to gather and explore. And this is where Nightingale brings in its unique realm walking system, including realm cards and portals. In terms of the story, humans and magical fae creatures have been living together, leading to humans learning how to use magic and creating a fantastic city, as well as learning to use magical portals as gateways into other realms. But then a calamity called the Pale struck, leaving humans stranded across all of these realms, away from their sanctuary, and desperately trying to traverse the web of portals to get home. While all of that is interesting, how does this function in-game? Well, the portals act as ways to create procedurally generated worlds using realm cards that shape those worlds. Think of it like an in-game way to customize a world seed for the realm you're going to go into. These realm cards influence the type of environment, the number of enemies, the resources you'll encounter, and more, meaning you'll be jumping from realm to realm to gather specific things you need. Realm cards are made through crafting, and there's a bunch of different types of cards. Some increase the number of enemies, some will remove nighttime completely, others will focus on the world being a certain biome, and much more. So this, combined with the game's gathering, crafting, combat, boss fighting, exploration, cooking, and building, seems like there will be a good chunk of stuff to do. Especially since you can do all of this online with friends, I'm feeling like this could be a real blast to play with your buddies. In the latest playtest, they actually revealed a bunch of fun and interesting stats from the test. Firstly, we got these stats from the character creator, in which they reveal that it took an average of 10 minutes for players to create their character, but the single longest time spent making a character was someone that took 8 hours to make it. We can see an image here of the most used heads, as well as a little gif of the different teeth and the sliders that you can have for adding in metal teeth. I really hope that the character creator goes very in-depth, because making a unique character, at least to me, is super important in a game where you'll be spending a lot of time, especially since there's co-op. After this, we also know there was a bug in the test where boars and wolves were overtuned, leading to excessive waves of them attacking player bases, leading to 60,000 deaths of boars and wolves within the test, with the boars suffering the most losses, and the most common weapon used against them was a simple wooden axe. Then we got a look at some of the player-based creations, with some of them being pretty impressive considering that this is just a playtest, so you go in knowing that nothing will be saved. I always like being the base builder in my survival game groups, but I always focus on keeping it secure and unraidable, so my bases usually don't end up being the most visually appealing. Since this is a PvE survival game though, you could actually focus on making something looking nice first and then adding those defenses later on. Also, base building is set to be more than just a decorative area to store and craft. You can actually form communities in them with recruitable NPCs to be hireable to work in your settlement, allowing you to automate production of items, do resource gathering for you, and to expand your base. So the building and settlement management in this is sounding pretty awesome and makes me remember how much I really enjoyed the original State of Decay's base building system and how I wish a game could recreate and expand on how they did base building and community building. We also got some details on this new giant boss monster that they call the Humbaba. It has poisonous breath that will split off into fragments and is set to command a legion of harpies, so fighting this boss is definitely sounding like a fun challenge to do with your friends. Additionally, we know they're listening to player feedback and implementing tool use in your offhand, allowing things like torches, umbrellas, and healing items to work in your offhand. I love to see player feedback being taken, listened to, and implemented, so this is really cool to know. The game is set for early access release on February 22nd of 2024, but do be aware the game's release date has been pushed back several times now since its original announcement, and while I do feel like this might actually be the one that sticks, we never know if it could move again. But it really does look like they're taking their time to make a good, rounded game instead of rushing it out for a quick buck. So I've got to respect them for these delays, and I'm excited to be able to play it early next year.